take this and show it. Good.
Choose the hand. So put it in the field first, and then before the neck. Ladies and gentlemen, am I looking at a 6 or a 9? What do you think?
6 1.
What do you think? You see the problems we had with this? Isn't that amazing? Well, let us check if we have other ones.
Yeah, we'll see.
That is we make that, we all agree that's a 9.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So this becomes a 6.
Yeah.
And 6 is smaller than 9. Is that right? Yes. Okay. This is table number 6.
As you see, Nigerians are utterly reliable, always early.
I'm seeing some excuses.
Yeah. These are people that put their hands up on the street and said they'd be there. And it is amazing. Yes. We can do that with this program with it. We'll free the lunch early if the food is ready. If it's not ready, Jules will have to check in. Look like we're away. We don't have programs yet adapted to the circumstances. signal peace. Super. Welcome. Dr. James is there.
Sorry, I had bad news for you. The winner of the karaoke competition is me.
You're going to join us for this evening? You're joining us at the prison?
No, you understand?
You're starting with the invocation?
Yes. Okay. And then I put on. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Everybody up here?
Ladies and gentlemen, guests, good afternoon. It was good morning a few minutes ago, and we've just passed the magic hour. So thank you all for coming, and we'd like to start with an invocation. Could you please stand? And we're inviting Past President Sinclair Thomas of the Rotary Club of St Vincent to give us an invocation.
I invite each one, please, let's bow our heads and close our eyes as we approach the throne of grace by God's grace. Let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, Lord, hallowed be thine holy name. We thank you today, O God, for life and for being alive. Thou art the giver of all life. You created us in your image, O God, that we might understand more of you. Today, as we meet in the Rotary Club function here with all these students and parents and teachers, Lord, we invite your presence here with us in a very special way. Take care, Lord, of all that shall be said and done. We pray that your name will be glorified. Father, we thank you for these students. They have worked and studied hard. Thank you, Lord, for their success. Bless them this day, I pray. And in the course of learning, Lord, may they also learn not only subjects, but about you, the great Creator. Bless the parents, bless the teachers. Continue, God, to provide for each one. Bless the Rotary Club today, I pray. Take care, lead out for those who lead out, we ask. And may we continue to do your will. Lord, you provided lunch for us. We pray that you bless it. Thank you for your provision, O God. As we live it, may the body is good, we pray. And thank you for the bread of life. We commit this meeting into your hand this day, Father, and we thank you for hearing our prayers in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Please remain standing.
Yes. Thanks, Past President Sinclair. Welcome to our late arrivals. If you'd like to all remain standing for a moment, please, though, we'd like you to join in the national anthem of St Vincent and the Grenadines, and we will lead it musically so that we can all join in together. St. Vincent, land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee our loyalty and love, and vow to keep you ever free. Everybody sing, please. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. High Roon, our fair and blessed isle, your mountains high, so clear and green, are home to me, though I may stray, a haven calm, serene. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Our little sister islands are those gems, the lovely Grenadines, upon their seas and golden sands the sunshine ever beams. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Thank you all. Please be seated. Yeah. We're just asking or inviting our new guests just to have a seat. And this is a Rotary meeting. It has a certain protocol that we follow in Rotary,
and we'll be doing that shortly. In the meantime, we know that everyone deserves their lunch, and so we're all ready for that. So we're just looking for a nod from the young lady at the end by the table. Can we bring everyone for lunch, please?
Right.
Yes? Sounds good. All right. So you've seen different numbers on your tables. So let's start numerically. We don't know where the numbers are, but can we invite table 1 and table 2 to go down to the table for food, please? Where's table 1 and table 2? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me just a second. I forgot the protocol. The head table normally gets seated first of all. Now, what's happening about soup, please? Is soup being served? Could anyone give us an answer, please? All right. Sorry about that. All right. Dorian, welcome. Yeah. So please, can we have an answer about soup? Is it being served at the tables? No? All right. All right. So I'm sorry. We'd like to invite the head table to go and have their lunch first. The reason being that none of you have to do any work. All these folks have to work today. They have to sing for their supper. So they need their strength. So we'll let them have their lunch first of all. Okay? If you'd like to familiarise yourselves with the programme, we will, as soon as everyone has got their lunch and sitting at the tables, we will start the beginning of the Rotary meeting and the proceedings. Okay. By the way, I'm a bit worried about education these days. When our son had started school, we questioned him when he came back, after his first few days, so what he was learning. And we said, okay, Ian, tell us, you've been studying maths. What's 3 plus 1? And he didn't know. We said, what's 1 plus 3? You can count it on your fingers, And he didn't know. So we said, well, Ian, 3 plus 1 is 4. He said, but that's not fair. Sister Ivy said, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Education can be very confusing, right? So in a moment, that's table 1 going, is that right? And then table 2 would follow that, please. And so everyone will get to eat in a very short time, and then we'll start with the rest of our proceedings, as you see in your programs in front of you on the tables. Please share them if there's not enough. We want everyone to have an idea of what's happening. And we're looking forward to some remaining schools to arrive as well. It's difficult. We have to recognise that. Some of us are fortunate we're able to come maybe from Kingstown schools. Others are coming from the length and breadth of the country, and sometimes they're not in control of their travel arrangements. Sometimes that's reflected by restrictions on van transportation or ferries or flights. And so we have to appreciate the fact that so many of you are here already. We appreciate that. So rest for a few minutes, and we'll look forward to enjoying lunch together. Thank you very much. We did have a plan for some background music, so no, you couldn't be that unlucky. I'm tempted to sing, but we wouldn't want you to spoil your lunch.
Let's see what we can do. And the way that you know things don't always go smoothly. Remember, when you and I were sitting, I juggled it to work out the program, and you think we're safety, and we saw how the changes were moving. Yes. Yes. Teacher, sorry, this is your book. Drinks are supposed to be being served. Just know that you're not having juice. Juice was always prepared at the tables. That you by the patrons. So maybe it must be negotiated differently. And they were saying, well, because you bought your own drinks, then we didn't do it. It was done before the meeting. Many people around now.
Yeah.
Communication. And you have a lot of, you're learning a lot for your future business. It'll happen. If we end up like with too many seats, and just move for these seats to the side.
Right.
So they're not touch.
Welcome. Good
From floor, right?
I saw your name, didn't I?
Yeah, but when you program that ready, you just get it.
You were Jimmy there?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, I get it. Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Robin James of the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Robin James, can I introduce your name? So Lindsay, that's not a Rotary as well. James coming in, Mr. Scribbling, Mr. Education, Robin James. Yes, very well done. If you're straight,
Yeah.
I have to leave
That's so difficult to partner for. That's really difficult because I was recently and what they did was to go and get the workers, and tell them to move out so that other people can partner.
Carly? Yes.
Hi. Can I have a bit of rice, please, sir? Oh, hi.
What medics? What else? They don't have any.
Yeah, we.
I ain't gonna forget you.
That.
Anything else, Ollie? All good? Anything
Yeah.
else?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah. I think they're gonna make papers. Really? Exactly. That's crazy. Oh wow. That would be difficult for them because unless you have different chips, how you reconciling if somebody take extra? So let's say they charge you a $5. If I'm working with take the extra $5 I charge you for a pickup because all you ready now is your license plate number. No, but it's not cheap. Let's say it's a really, really, really big Jeep. Also, it's just the train. Oh, good afternoon. Yes, please. Yes, please.
And you could just check the sequence and put it according to the list and make sure nobody changes the sequence in here. Okay. Something else will be there again. Something is okay for you guys.
Joe's back. No, he said when they get cold, it's fine. Okay, once that happens, yeah. And anything into the spring, especially like sometimes you're dealing with trying to make sure that he doesn't have anything happening. And you spring a last minute one, and then you plan and you're ready, and then no him.
Leftovers.
And that happens.
Totally leftovers.
No, as in you have an event planned, he's supposed to stay there, but something pops up. So he plans his own press conference, so he doesn't show up to your event, plus he takes all the media with him. So
Vice President, sorry to interrupt, but are you ready to start? You okay? I think we have to in the interest of time.
Alan? That's okay, yeah.
I think with few friends we don't have temperature. Oh, thank God. So,
34 grams of sugar. Yes. Not sugar.
Where's my-
Reading these labels with my daughter. Like, you know, sometimes we deal with amazing. You might say, oh, there's a healthy option over a juice or something, which still have plenty
Right.
more. But you would think it's more than water that doesn't have, you know, 30 grams of sugar still use. It was something
My protocol list.
randomly, you know, you get the water, like, oh, yeah. Instead of
Okay.
soda.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, again. We hope that you've been able to enjoy the meal, delicious meal, which we've had great help from a number of sponsors, by the way. So let's just tell you all of those who have contributed to this afternoon's event. Bank of St Vincent and the Grenadines, Flow, Korea's Hazels Limited, Korea's Distribution Limited. ECGC is represented by a number of their brands. You can see them on the back of your program, a number of different brands. The Island Sip Water, Cream of the Islands, Diamond Rice as well. Yes, okay. So, also Bottlers Limited, BDO, Fanfare Events, and yes, I think, oh, and Jaden Inc. as well. That's right, and St Vincent Brewery. So we have a lot of people to be grateful for this afternoon. Now, this is a Rotary meeting, so we're going to start our official part of the proceedings now as Rotary. And there's one thing that we always do in Rotary, it's called the four-way test. So we'd like to ask all Rotarians who are here for a moment just to stand. And we sometimes have a banner that says the words on it. But if you look at the back of your programs, please, you'll see that it says the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. So Rotarians, can we say together the four-way test? First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thanks very much, Rotarians. Do you have a glass? If anyone has a drink there, let's raise a toast, though, please, to St Vincent and the Grenadines. Toast to SVG. Thank you. Now, thanks, please be seated. To our guests, there was a time when we had a loyal toast to Queen and Country. Now, these days, that has developed beautifully into St Vincent and the Grenadines. So now, as part of Rotary meetings, we normally have an opportunity to celebrate with our fellow Rotarians. During this week, we actually have 3 wedding anniversaries. One is our Secretary, Felicia, who is joining us later. She has to do a particular job on stage later on with us. So Secretary Felicia Cumberbatch and her husband Ijaz are celebrating their wedding anniversary on the 4th, a couple of days ago.
Well,
On the 8th, that's tomorrow, our Assistant District Governor, Rotary, that's Shafia London Williams, and her husband Grenville are celebrating. And on the 9th of this month, my wife, Dr. Miriam Sheridan, is celebrating her wedding anniversary. Whether she celebrates it alone or with me depends on my behavior between now and then. So, everyone, we'd like to welcome. This is the time that we get to recite all the important persons who are here with us today. So, on our head table, Vice President Earl Tash in the center. Our feature speaker, Mrs. Letitia Sandy Marks. You'll hear much of her later. Our Ministry of Education National Reconciliation is represented by Dr. Godwin James, the Senior Education Officer. Yeah. Thanks. Now, a number of our generous sponsors, some were sitting at the head table and some sitting otherwise, but at the head table we also have Jamelia Thomas from Flow, right there at the head table, and sitting further back is Patricia John from Bank of SVG. Remember, we have a number of persons that have contributed greatly, so we acknowledge them at this time, and that's Careers Hazels Inc., Careers Distribution, ECGC, and the various brands that are represented, Bottlers Limited, BDO, the accounting firm, and Fanfare Events, and Jaden Inc. as well. We welcome teachers. We welcome parents and guardians. We welcome all you ladies and gentlemen. We welcome fellow Rotarians, members of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, our friends from the media, including Cap, his wife, organising the videos, and our special guests, all the students. We welcome you warmly today. This is a very special day for all of you. So it's a pleasure to now invite the Vice President of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, Mr. Earl Tash, to come and deliver his welcome remarks to you. Please welcome him.
That's right, exactly so. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, all. Members of the head table. Also, I'd like to recognize Mr. Dorian Phillips, who is the son of the one. Please stand here.
Very good, thank you.
This afternoon, my task is quite simple: to welcome you all to our annual George Phillips Excellence Awards ceremony and luncheon. Every year, except I think 2 years with COVID, we come here to recognize, to reward and to award our food farmers. But just to remember, students, that you're here not only for your academic excellence, but also for your commitment to discipline, team leadership, and your achievement in approved extracurricular activities. You have gotten this far, but you still have a long way to go. And I also wish to thank your parents, guardians, teachers, principal, school, community, everyone who would have
help you to achieve. But you have to continue to work hard and remember there will always be distractions, whether your peers at home, even in public transport these days, the minibuses. So stay focused. This award ceremony has been around for many, many years. And there are times when I walk about the streets, I recognize students who have been awarded. In fact, just recently, I was on a small aircraft to Mustique, and the force officer, I remember him, he was sitting here receiving his award a few years ago. And there are many more. So I want to encourage you to continue to work hard. Do not sit on your laurels now, this is not the end, but continue to stay focused on your careers. I thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Earl. We've all just had lunch, and we had a lovely invocation from past President Sinclair beforehand. At one of the schools, which we won't mention, one of the teachers said to the children, children, when you're at home, do you say prayers before you eat? And there's a silence. And one little boy bravely put up his hand and said, please, miss, we don't say prayers. Our mum is a good cook. We don't have to. Talking of good cooks, we have an excellent speaker available next, but he's only going to speak briefly, he says. We'd like to ask you to give a special welcome to Dr. Godwin James. He's the Senior Education Officer for Secondary Schools in the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation. And he's here with us representing his ministry. So please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. Before I proceed, I would like us to just stand for 1 minute's silence, because having been here in the first 10 minutes, I received the news that a Form 5 student of the George Stevens Senior Secondary School sadly passed away. So we would just like to stand for a moment's silence. And since we are recognizing students here, it is important that we so do. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to members of the head table. Our featured speaker for today, Miss Letitia Sandy Mark, or Mrs. I should correctly say, Mrs. Letitia Sandy Mark. Parents, teachers, students, awardees, it is my pleasure to bring you greetings from the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation at this George Phillips Excellence Award, an award ceremony that I can remember attending as a former teacher at the Union Island Secondary School. And so it is a pleasure to be here again, where we are recognizing the scholastic achievements of our students. But as was just said by the Master of Ceremonies, we are not only just recognizing scholastic achievements, but we are also recognizing the values and attitudes that have been imparted to these students by their parents and by the schools that they attend. I greet you on behalf of the Minister of Education and National Reconciliation, Honorable Curtis King, and the Chief Education Officer, Mrs. K. Martin Jack. The past few years have been more than challenging, to say the least, and we all know what those challenges have been over the past 2-3 years or so, beginning in March of 2020, when we had the news that we were all affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. A pandemic, of course, affects the entire world, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines was no exception. Our education system, like those around the world, was thrown into chaos, I should say, initially, but we were able to manage the chaos. None of us sitting here, except for the students, would have had to endure the kind of challenges that our students endured with COVID-19. It was probably back in 1908 or 1910, thereabout, that we had the Spanish flu, and so none of us living today has had the experience of going through that. So our students have faced enormous challenges trying to navigate getting an education. And so we pivoted as a Ministry of Education into online learning, which wasn't the easiest for many of us as teachers, students. It wasn't an easy task. And some of you then would have been in grade 6, and some might have just begun secondary school. And you know what those challenges were. Then came in 2021, the eruption of our La Soufrière volcano. And that too caused the disruption of schools, as many of them were used as emergency shelters. And so we were faced with a pandemic, and then we were faced with the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano. But you also, too, students, have a challenge that you face, and that challenge deals with the lure of technology. I mean, technology is at your fingertips now, and so you have a phone, you have a smartphone, and you have to face the challenge of being tempted, I'm sure, every moment of either having to look at a TikTok, if that is the name of it, I believe, and some other area of social media that is craving your attention and away from your academic pursuits. But you are here today as a testimony of being resilient in the face of the challenges that you face. That is, in the face of the temptations of the technology and in the face of the challenges of COVID-19 and the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano. So you have had to overcome those, and it means that you have had to balance your work very well, and your teachers have had also to ensure that they balance their planning and organization, and even some of us have had to upgrade our technological skills as teachers, because as you would very well know, students, many of us teachers, who would have begun, like I have begun back in the 1980s, would have had to upgrade our technological skills since we are digital immigrants. And you are digital natives. And so we had to speedily learn how to use the technology to be able to teach you in the online environment. And so it tells us that once we do what we are supposed to do as students, we can have these kinds of achievements that we are having here today. But critically, I want not only for you to recognize the fact that you must have placed at the top in the subject areas that you sit at school, but also to recognize that you must pay close attention to values and attitudes. And you do remember, and you may hear old people say, manners and respect carry you all through the world. And while those things seem very simplistic, and they may have come from our grandparents and parents who may not have had the opportunity of the kind of education that we have, we understand that those are critical components of who we become and who you become as a young adult. And so you have to learn to inculcate in you the soft skills as well. The thanks and the please and all of those other things that make you an individual apart from your academic achievements. And no matter how much academic achievements we have, if we do not have the correct set of values and attitudes, the respect for each other, the respect for authority, the civic responsibilities, and the concern for the environment of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we won't get very far, despite the academic achievements that we may have attained. And so I want to encourage you to continue to work very hard, students. But while you work very hard, do not make it a competition to see who can do the most number of C6 subjects. Because in the final analysis, the University of the West Indies only requires you to have 5 subjects. Math and English included, and if you are going on to a degree, then you may have your CAPE subject as you go on to the community college. So do not make it a competition to let it be that you are the person who is going to be featured in the newspaper simply because you have acquired 15 C6 subjects. That should not be your goal. Your goal should be to do those subjects that you can do very well, to ensure that you put in your very best efforts in those subjects, and at the end of the day, once you have put in that effort, you will achieve the rewards. But at the same time, continue to inculcate in yourselves the values and the attitudes that will make you good men and women of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and good men and women of the world. And so again, on behalf of the Ministry of Education, I thank the Rotary for putting on the George Phillips Award for Excellence and awarding our students and demonstrating to them and demonstrating to the society that we appreciate the work that you are putting in. And we want to continue to encourage you as a Ministry of Education to do your very best and continue to ensure that St. Vincent and the Grenadines and your parents shine. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you indeed, Dr. James. That was very profound. And Dr. James is a very accomplished speaker. I've shared a platform before with him, and very much worth listening to. Now, we're going to have some remarks from 2 of our major sponsors in a moment, so it's a good time just to echo the appreciation that we have for many of the persons who have helped us. As you see on the programme, it's Island Sips Water, Cream of the Islands, Korea's Hazels, Grenadine Airways, Bank of SPG, Korea's Distribution, Jaden Inc., Carib Diamond, that's right, Building and Loan, St. Vincent Brewery, and Flow, and BDO, and so many more persons. So I'm going to invite in just a moment 2 of our major sponsors to come and have a few words, but just a thought to plant with you. We talked about prayers before, eating and so on before. One teacher asked the class, what is God's name? And the children started coming up with answers. Somebody said Jesus, somebody said Yahweh, somebody said Jehovah, so on. And one little boy put up his hand and said, please miss, God's name is Harold. So, how on earth do you get that? I can understand the other ones, but how on earth did you get that? Well, he said, it's in the prayer, miss. We say, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. That's all right, I can wait for the laugh. So it's an opportunity to invite 2 of our major sponsors to come and say a few words, please. Please welcome Jamelia Thomas, who is speaking on behalf of Flow. Please welcome her.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the head table and our featured speaker, Ms. Letitia Sandy Mark. Good afternoon to the members of the Rotary Club St. Vincent, teachers, parents, and our most important attendees, students. I bring you the warm greetings from the management of staff of Cable and Wireless St. Vincent. On this remarkable occasion, the annual George Phillips Excellency Award ceremony. It's always a pleasure to witness outstanding academic achievements and award honest hard work. For more than 20 years, Cable and Wireless, FLO, has pledged their support towards this event. We stand resolute in our commitment and continued contribution to the investments in education and youth development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In addition to our contribution to the Rotary Club St. Vincent, we are awarding 2 years free internet to all of the students here for your hard work. We want you to be able to have access to the world. There is so much more beyond what you have accomplished so far, and this is just a step in your journey. I remember when I was in Form 4. It wasn't that long ago. So I look young, and yes, I am. I was in Form 4 in, 2017. I entered Form 4. So if you decide to do the math, you may guess my age, and yes, I'm very young, a child. But I'm here to say that I understand the hard work that you put in, and it does not go unseen or unheard, and that is why all of you are sitting here today, because you have accomplished, and we recognize that accomplishment and want to award you. And yes, we are awarding you, but don't forget to celebrate yourselves. Take yourself out on a date. Girls, you may like to do your nails. I do. Ask mom for a little money to go and get your nails done for summer. Or, go somewhere, because you have earned it. Boys, go with your friends. Go to the beach. Have that celebration because you did the hard work. It doesn't mean to stop here because it's just one step. But it means to celebrate every single win in life, because life is short, and we've seen that in the past 2 years. So celebrate everything and every chance that you get. And remember, hard work brings success. Hard work brings what you want in life. So I want to congratulate you again on behalf of myself, Cable and Wireless, and FLO, and continue to work hard, and have a great afternoon.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Jamisha. And she was talking about young speakers. Well, I'm glad to be one as well. And you know that. By the way, I know a teacher who asked the children, give me an example of coincidence. And they thought for a minute. And one child said, well, my mum and dad were married on the same day. So I'd like you to welcome another of our valued sponsors, please, now. Please welcome from the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Patricia John, who is also a young speaker. So give her a warm welcome, please.
Good afternoon to everyone. Yes, I'd like to start by expressing appreciation for once again being invited here to be part of such a wonderful initiative where we get to celebrate the excellence of our youth. So thank you to the executive of the Rotary Club St. Vincent for ensuring the continuity of this George Phillips Excellence Award program. I am told that it has been around for some 20 years now, and that since its inception, Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been a steadfast supporter. And that should come as no surprise because, like you young ones who pursue excellence, Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is never satisfied with being average or resting on our past achievements. We're always looking and continually striving for excellence in our field, and we encourage you to continue doing the same. I look at the room, I see all these young, ambitious persons. I see proud parents and teachers with you. But you young ones, you've really pushed through a lot of challenges to be here today and to be considered not just the top of your class, but the top of your form for your school, Form 4 of your school, in the areas of discipline, leadership, extracurricular activities, and academic achievement. And that's no small feat. You've demonstrated at a very early age that you understand that excellence is an attitude. Excellence is achieved not because of not having obstacles, but by making conscious decisions to continuously improve and do better in spite of the obstacles. So Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines takes this opportunity. We take great pride in celebrating your achievements with you today. No doubt you may have observed some of your peers who choose to do otherwise, maybe because they have certain setbacks or maybe little obstacles that they choose not to traverse, and so they end up settling for mediocrity or even sometimes giving up altogether. But we encourage you and we congratulate you and challenge you to keep your focus and to continue on this trajectory to a lifetime of excellence. Don't just do it for yourselves, but remember others are looking on, and you have the power to positively influence others along your way with your excellent example. This year, once again, we are awarding you with accounts. I think in the letters that we will give to you, the accounts, the starting balance would be $100. But I think in light of the times, we should up that a bit, maybe to $150, right? Right, so you'll have those accounts started. The letter will guide you in terms of how you get those accounts. And we urge you to remember the importance of the account and not to just withdraw the funds and leave the account to go dormant and get closed. Because you have to remember these accounts are your gateway to financial independence and the instruments that you can use to, first of all, save, to maybe get the disbursement of your scholarships, to access financial products as you go all over the world studying, traveling, and exploring all the opportunities that are out there. And this may even be the account that you're able to give your first employer so that they can disburse your first salary. So as I said, this account can be your constant partner through a life of excellence. So please, as I said, don't close out the account. Don't just take out the funds and close the account. Use the account as you go through your life. BOSVG extends its warmest congratulations to each and every one of you here today for your accomplishments, and we wish you the very best going forward. And remember, in the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. So excellence, therefore, it's not an act, but a habit.
Well done. Many thanks indeed to Patricia John on behalf of Bank of SVG. And we're now moving to an exciting, different part of our programme. We have an excellent past president of the Rotary Club, so, that's Mr. Jules Ferdinand, who's going to make a presentation on the screen to tell us all about George Phillips. You've seen, maybe you've heard his name, but you don't know him yet at all. And with the help of past President Jules, we'll learn lots more about him, and it can help us with our own aspirations. While Jules is setting up, could you... Already? That's great. Just take a moment to glance at your programs at the back page and realize so many organizations have been helpful to us. You've just heard two of our major sponsors speaking. Take a look at all the names on the back. Every one of those has contributed to make this day what it's been. So please welcome past President Jules. Good luck.
Thank you. Members of the head table, parents, teachers, students, fellow Rotarians, it's always my pleasure to spend a little time giving you some insight in relation to why we have named this event after George Phillips. So on the screen there, let me just give you a little background. We're talking about the measure of a man, and
he focused, and you'll see how this ties into why the criteria that we use to select you, the fourth form student, why it is the way that it is. George Phillips embodied a lot of humor. Those persons, well, there are not very many persons here who would have known him, who would have met him while he was here with us. But he was a man full of humor. And he knew how to tell a joke, and he also knew how to joke about himself. As a matter of fact, a lot of the jokes that he told were actually about himself. So humor, humility, and the humanitarian spirit embodied who George Phillips was. This quotation gives us a little insight in terms of the strength of character to be able to laugh at yourself. Goldie says, once you can laugh at your own weaknesses, you can move forward. Comedy breaks down walls. It opens up people. If you're good, you can fill up those openings with something positive. Maybe you can combat some of the ugliness in the world. It's okay to have fun. It is okay to have jokes. It is okay to laugh. And George gave us a lot of those. But let's talk a little bit about him before his death in 1996. George was born on January 1st, 1928, here in St. Vincent. He attended the St. Vincent Grammar School, and at grammar school, he excelled academically, but he also excelled at sports. He was an outstanding athlete, especially in some of the shorter races. Earlier on, our chairman recognized his son, who is sitting here with us, Dorian Phillips. To digress a little bit, many of you will not know, may not remember, that Dorian was with the national soccer team for a number of years and still stands out as one of the best goalkeepers St. Vincent has ever had, Dorian Phillips. So he attended the grammar school. He performed very well academically, and he was an outstanding athlete. And then he went to Canada for a number of years. He was a graduate of the University of Guelph. And then from there, he got a lot of international recognition. Canada is not one of those countries known for cricket. But George Phillips, because he was an outstanding athlete, an outstanding cricketer, actually captained the Canadian team back in those days. That was an outstanding achievement. But he then moved to England, the United Kingdom. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But one of the things we need to remember, and it is something that we need to remind our people, there is nothing wrong with our blackness. You hear today of persons, especially females, trying to change the complexion of their skin by using all kind of chemicals to make themselves look a little fairer. George didn't have that problem. He was a black man, and he was proud to be black. He was an outstanding black man. And one of the jokes that he used to tell us was when he was in the United Kingdom, he always liked big cars, limousines, we would call them. And he would tell us the joke of one day he was driving down the street. It was getting dark, so the sun was going down. It was a little difficult to see. That was before the days of tint, the tinted vehicles. But as the sun was going down, it was difficult to see who was driving the car. And because he was so black, he noticed that a particular police was staring at the car, and he figured out the person is wondering how come this car is being driven and nobody is behind the steering wheel. And so when he interpreted that that was the situation, he decided to smile so that the police could see his teeth. George was known as Black Magic. Black because of his complexion, magic because of his gift as an athlete. He was outstanding. So whatever he did with excellence in mind. And there are stories that are told too of him not feeling well, of him having strained muscles, of him on one occasion even having a broken bone, and yet he will compete. Now, we don't recommend that you do that. If you're not feeling well, you have to discipline yourself not to do it. But that was the kind of commitment that George had. So after he had left the United Kingdom, he had spent some time in Aruba and Curacao, and one of the outstanding accomplishments for George I've listed here. He was stationed in Grenada for a number of years, and it was George Phillips who had designed the zoo in Grenada. The Grenada National Zoo was designed by George. He would jokingly tell you that he could design things like that because he looked like some of the creatures that were being in the zoo. But that's what he said. That's what he would say. But British zoo experts described that zoo at the time as the best designed zoo in all of the Commonwealth. In all of the Commonwealth, that zoo that George had designed in Grenada was considered to be the best. It tells us something else. Don't underestimate your capacity, your capability because of where you come from. We from St. Vincent and the Grenadines have done exceptionally well, and George is a good example of that. When he returned to St. Vincent, he had two major interests. One was in horticulture. He always liked plants, but he also had an affinity. He always liked to take care of big dogs, especially the German Shepherd. And so for a number of years, that was his passion. When the Rotary Club was started in 1971, he was the president. He was the charter president. And George always looked out for young people. And so you could see why we would name this award after him. It's not only academics, but also it has to do with attitude. It has to do with principles that will guide you to be a successful person. And therefore, it's not surprising that even back then, he kept looking for opportunities for scholarships for our young people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. His focus, academic excellence and character. Things like honesty and courtesy and courage, helpfulness, all of those become critical. And so we at Rotary, we are very proud to name this award, and we're very proud to have you now represent your school, your fourth form, as a recipient of the George Phillips Excellence Award. George, Black Magic, we recognize him. Thank you.
Thanks, Past President Joes. That was excellent, and we hope you now have a better idea about George. George told many stories. When he was at school, here in his early days, the teacher said to him, said to the students, "I want you to write a story." And so the teacher said, "Make it a story about my dog." Now, you heard about George and dogs a moment ago. So George wrote his story, and the teacher said, when she collected them all up afterwards, "Your story is the same as your brother's. Were you cheating? Were you copying?" He said, "Well, no, miss, it's the same dog." So Yes, that's all right. You'll get there in the end. Now, we wanted to welcome someone who's made great efforts to be here this afternoon. She's the Secretary of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent. Felicia Cumberbatch has the pleasure of presenting a profile of our guest speaker this afternoon. So please welcome Secretary Felicia Cumberbatch.
Okay, so I will try to make this. Can anybody see me? Okay, I'm standing up. Letitia A.R. Sandy is a barrister and solicitor and holds an LLM in legislative drafting. She joined the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, in June 2009 as a legal officer and was appointed a Deputy Director in February 2016 and Director on September 1st, 2018. Prior to her appointment as Director, she was responsible for making representations on behalf of the Office of the Attorney General in civil, forfeiture, and civil recovery matters, prosecution of money laundering cases alongside the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the preparation of legal documents, and facilitating stakeholder training. Letitia is a certified anti-money laundering specialist, CAMS, and is a trained fourth-round assessor of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, CFATF, and participated in the fourth-round Mutual Evaluation, MEV, of Antigua and Barbuda as the legal expert and has been a part of WGFI Subnetworking Group and served as a receiver. Letitia was also a member of the first steering committee of the Caribbean Asset Recovery Interagency Network and the inaugural president of the network as well. She is also Deputy Chairperson of the National Anti-Money Laundering Committee and the Mutual Evaluation Coordinator for St. Vincent and the Grenadines 2023. She is also the Chairperson of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines National Commission on Crime Prevention. Esteemed audience, I proudly present a leader, wife, mother, Rotarian, friend, Miss Letitia Sandy.
I'm a little taller than you, Secretary Feld. Mr. Earl Tash, Vice President of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent. Dr. Godwin James, Senior Education Officer. Dorian Phillips, son of Mr. George Phillips. Our esteemed sponsors from the Bank of SVG and Flow. Members of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, parents and teachers, and of course, our very, very esteemed awardees. You just heard about copying and speaking about the same dog. You'll realize that there are going to be some common themes in what I have to say. The Rotary Club gave me free rein to choose my topic for today. And it seems that there was some group work by Dr. James and I, right? No scribbing. It seems there was some group work. So I've decided to title my conversation with you today, On the Other Side of the Unimaginable. The Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones's theme for 2022-2023 is Imagine Rotary. The theme urges all Rotarians to dream big and take action, uniting to work toward positive global change. A few years ago, I may have started this conversation by asking you to imagine a world of possibilities where you could do anything, accomplish anything. But you in this room have all lived the unimaginable and excelled. On that note, I first wish to congratulate you for being here today, for having accomplished all that you have because you excelled in the face of circumstances I am sure you could never have imagined. I know I didn't. A pandemic that started in December 2019 and wasn't officially declared at an end by the World Health Organization until May 2023, a dengue fever outbreak in January 2020, droughts in 2020, where May 2020 was recorded as the worst in 72 years, the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano in April 2021, a hurricane, Elsa, in July 2021, and not to mention everything else happening in the world since then, and the many individual misfortunes that you each have had to overcome. Now, it was mentioned about all of the challenges you've had, but I think we've taken it for granted that so many things happened in such a short space of time. You may say so much time has elapsed since these events. Why bring them up now? Are they still relevant? But these events had varying impacts on the world and on you, and I ask you not to forget. You have come out on the other side of the unimaginable. You had no choice but to adapt to new styles of learning, of living, of socializing, using technology at an increased rate in classes, a lack of face-to-face contact with peers, with teachers, and a lot of trial and error at a critical time in your educational journey. You were part of a time of innovation and adaptation, and you prove yourselves to be remarkable, resilient young people. And I think you deserve a clap for that. For me, it meant implementing new policies and procedures in the workplace to ensure the safety of my staff and their families. Finding that critical balance between productivity and understanding that these were unprecedented and uncertain times. I had to manage my own fears for the good of my family and employees, and I too had to adapt. There were so many things I had planned, so many things I wanted to do when these events occurred. Looking ahead to an important external assessment that actually took place in March of this year, it felt like such a blow to all of our efforts, all of the hard work that we had put in. But we took the time and thought about how to maximize the opportunities. We had Zoom meetings and calls with persons who otherwise would not have been available because they couldn't go anywhere. We strengthened our relationships with critical stakeholders. We became better at digitizing the volume of paperwork, and the innovation of my staff took flight. There were indeed many negative and unpleasant occurrences that happened during this period. However, years from now, in the face of adversity, I want you to remember these events and remember that not even your imagination or the unimaginable can limit you. Remember your coping mechanisms, your support systems, the persons sitting with you around these tables. Remember that you have proven to us all, and most importantly, to yourself, that you are capable of great things no matter what life throws at you. We must remember the many, often hard-learned lessons as well. In 2020, I couldn't imagine a world where I would not be in a mask every day. And anyone who knows me can tell you, I would not have seen this. I was pregnant during the pandemic. I couldn't be vaccinated. My fear was at an all-time high. In April 2021, still pregnant, I could not imagine a St. Vincent and the Grenadines where I would see the blue of the sky unobstructed by ash. As these were the plots of tales and movies, not real life. But here we are today, on the other side of the unimaginable. There are moments that define you, moments you return to replenish you and remind you of who you are, and you have many. I ask you to always carry with you that work ethic and all the things that got you through the unimaginable. Had you crumbled and lost all of the amazing core elements of who you are, you would not be sitting here before us today. You continue to work and to excel, hoping and imagining that there would be a tomorrow that was better than the todays you were living, and that your actions, even in the face of so much uncertainty, mattered. This is so important to remember. Even when we wonder why or how it will matter in the long run, it is important to maintain your focus and high standards, which admittedly is not always easy. When you tell these stories years from now, many will think you're exaggerating. I still sometimes feel like it was a dream. But you will know the truth. You will wear that badge of honor for all that you were able to accomplish in spite of the unimaginable. Always remember though, and I want you to listen to this part carefully, that you are human and you must take everything in stride. There will still be moments that seem insurmountable, and you may look back on everything I just listed, and it may cause you to apply greater pressure to yourself because you'll say, I made it through these events. I must get through whatever is challenging me now immediately because it can't be as bad as what I faced before. But no, these unimaginable occurrences are reminders of what you are capable of. But there's a caveat. I'm sure each of us did not deal with these events in the same way. Adapting to each of them did not take the same amount of time. The solutions did not all look the same, and in some instances, we simply just hoped for the best because we didn't know what else to do. So remember this too when faced with obstacles. The solutions may not come immediately. The path ahead may not always be clear, but you are capable of overcoming. There are so many things that continue to affect you, and though they may not reach the level of a global pandemic, they are still serious nonetheless and do severely impact you. I want you to remember the lessons learned from those unimaginable events and apply them to the issues you face today, which are so different from the things I faced when I was a student. My biggest issues at secondary school were finding a nice plain jersey to wear for pay and wear with my baggy jeans. Skinny jeans weren't allowed. Bracing against the wind when I walked past grammar school and down past NBC radio station, as I was quite tiny and the wind was quite strong, and I always feared it would blow me over the wall. And hoping that house feed was not lame, which it never was because I was in staff house, greenhouse, which is the best house at any school, right? Greenhouse is the best house at any school. Agree to disagree, and because I have the mic, I win this disagreement, right? So I implore you even still to imagine a world of possibilities, to still dream big and take action, like our international president has said, remembering a time when you came out on the other side of the unimaginable, but with realistic expectations about how you treat yourself. Always be good to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Remember, you've been through a lot. As you've just heard, this award looks at you as the entire individual, your academic performance, deportment, and extracurricular activities.
In providing information about the man for whom this award is named, it is stated he was always determined to succeed against all odds. And you have more than demonstrated that you are worthy to accept an award in his name, having succeeded in the face of unimaginable odds. His focus was on academic excellence, character, honesty, courtesy, courage, compassion, helpfulness, respect, and discipline. Many of these characteristics I already know you possess, and the others that speak to the essence of being a good human being, I'm sure you also do possess, even if they are a work in progress. There's no shame in growing and working on ourselves. The shame comes when we stop trying and stop wanting to be the best version of ourselves, which I can promise you is a task for everyone, no matter who you are. In closing, a whole new world awaits you. There'll be college, there'll be university, there'll be the world of work. But never forget your foundation, which is what we are here to celebrate today. Take time to stop and breathe and take it all in. And if the things I say sound like a cliche, there are reasons cliches are cliches. There's a lot of truth in them. Don't be too busy thinking about the end that you forget the journey. The journey is the best part of it all, I can promise you that. If I were to just say my name and list all my accomplishments without acknowledging and appreciating the definitely unexpected road that led me here, it would be such a boring story. You wouldn't know that my dream was originally to study mass communications and journalism, but a piece of advice from my grandfather to take opportunities because I never know where they may lead, in fact led me to teach for a year, where I decided instead to study law. When I left law school, again, I was so sure and so intent that I was going to work at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Everything was already lined up. But a twist of fate led me to the Financial Intelligence Unit, an entity I had never even heard of at the time. But now, I could never imagine my life without it, and it is an entity I now proudly lead. Our stories are all different. Embrace them. Imagine great things and continue to excel even in the face of the unimaginable as you have already done. Thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was a remarkable, powerful testimony. So I think give our feature speaker another special appreciation. It's wonderful to hear people's stories without boastfulness, without simple facts, and the lessons that we can learn from that. So we're now going to have our presentations to all our students. Change of plan? No.
Call the names out, still hand out, and then the education minister and all going to share the certificate, back of St. Vincent, and we'll line up so that you'll be the one line.
Thanks. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're just organised how the presentations are going to be made. We're going to invite Dr. Godwin James to come forward, and also our two major sponsors from Flow and from the Bank of SVG to come forward to be part of the presentation line. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. Very good. And in the centre will be, of course, Vice President Earl, and also Mr. Dorian Phillips.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, and George's son Dorian as well. So we ask you to come forward on the stage.
No,
to the front of the stage, please. Yeah? All right, and the Very good. And the list of awardees will be read out to you by immediate past president of the Rotary Club of St Vincent, Janelle Allen. So I'll hand the microphone over to her.
Good afternoon, everyone. So while you enjoy your dessert, we will proceed with the presentation of awards. And as I call the names, please stand by to step forward. So our first recipient this afternoon is from the Adelphi Secondary School, and that's Miss Cassandra Charles. Cassandra Charles. So you will pose for a photo op and then move down the line to collect. Right. Congrats, Cassandra. Beckwith Community High, please stand by. Our awardee. Just a reminder, the students are receiving a voucher from Flo as well as the account details for their new savings account from the Bank of St. Vincent the Grenadines, and some tokens complements the Bank of SVG. Beckwith Community High, we present Miss Clarice Thomas with her award. Congratulations, Clarice. Please do hold for your photos with each sponsor, please. Thank you. Beckwith Seventh-day Adventist Secondary School, the awardee from that school is Keori McInnes. And we're very happy to have our Grenadine students with us. Give them a big round of applause. We don't take it for granted at all that you made the journey to mainland to be with us this afternoon. Congratulations. Bethel, stand by. And our next awardee from the Bethel High School is Leslie Ann Joseph. Leslie Ann Joseph. Congratulations, Leslie Ann. The Bethel High School, also known as the Camden Park Secondary School. Bishop, stand by. Next up, we're happy to present Miss Allegra Wilson from the Bishop's College, Kingstown, with her award for excellence. Congratulations, Allegra. Bookament Bay, please stand by. Our awardee from the Bookament Bay Secondary School this year is Miss Leandra Ogaro. Leandra Ogaro. Congratulations, Leandra. And we're heading back to the Grenadines as we ask Miss Terry-Ann Bino from the Canawan Secondary School to step forward to collect her award. Terry-Ann Bino, Canawan Secondary School. Happy to have you, Terry-Ann. Let's head down to the leeward side as we welcome Miss Janika Kwashi from the Central Leeward Secondary School. Miss Janika Kwashi, Central Leeward Secondary. All right. Our next awardee comes from the Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial Secondary School, and he is Mr. Romel Dixon. Congratulations, Romel, on your award for excellence. And their sister school awardee, the Emmanuel High School, Mesopotamia. That awardee goes to Kwamisha, goes to Kwamisha Victory. This is Kwamisha, yes. From the Emmanuel High School in Mesopotamia. George Stevens, stand by. This year's award for excellence in the George Stevens Senior Secondary School goes to Jolia Cornwall. And as mentioned earlier, we do extend condolences to the staff and students of that secondary school at this time, given the unfortunate passing of one of their students. Heading up north to the Georgetown Secondary School, we welcome Hadassah Burke to receive her award for excellence. Hadassah Burke, Georgetown Secondary. Our next awardee from the St. Vincent Girls High School is unable to be here with us today, but a teacher should be present to collect on her behalf. That awardee is Miss Shaya Weeks. Thank you. And one of the representatives from the staff will collect on her behalf. Please extend our congratulations to Miss Weeks. Intermediate High, please stand by. And the awardee from the Intermediate High School is Afi Lucas. Congratulations, Afi. Thank you, Dr. James. Mountain View Academy. So our awardee from the Mountain View Academy, my apologies, is Andre Bowman. Is Andre here? I am not seeing Andre with us today, but congratulations nonetheless to Mr. Bowman. From the North Union Secondary School, we have Roman Rodriguez. Congratulations, Roman. Congratulations on your accomplishment. Peter Bedell, please stand by. I think this is the last secondary school on that side of the island. Peter Bedell Secondary School, wonderful. Miss Joselia Michael is our awardee from North Leeward Peter Bedell Secondary School this year. Congratulations, Joselia. Sandy Bay. Is anyone from Sandy Bay present? Yes, of course. So on the other side, on the other point north, Sandy Bay Secondary, we welcome Casado Henry to receive his award. Congratulations, Casado. And we're asking the St. Joseph's Convent, Kingstown and Mariquah students to stand by. So from the St. Joseph's Convent, Kingstown, we have Zariel Nelson receiving her award for excellence. Congrats, Zariel. And from the St. Joseph's Convent, Mariaqua, Miss Norel Lavia. Congratulations, Norel. Our awardee from the St. Martin's Secondary School for 2023 is Limel Simmons. Limel Simmons. Congratulations, Mr. Simmons. And from the St. Vincent Grammar School, our awardee is Mr. Brandon George. Brandon George. Well done, Brandon. St. Clair Deacon, please stand by to receive your award. And we now welcome Lenico Alexander from the St. Clair Deacon Secondary School to receive his award. Congratulations to you, Lenico. From the Thomas Saunders Secondary School, we welcome to receive her award, Miss Ashanka Bilinji. Congrats to you, Ashanka, on your performance. We're taking another trip north, back to Tromaca. And if the representative is present, yes she is, we'd like to welcome Miss Zakisha Keeley from the Tromaca Secondary School. No? All right, well, congratulations to Zakisha and the staff. From the Union Island Secondary School, we'd like to invite Akelia Ashton. I don't think our union reps made it up this year, but that's okay. Let us still offer a round of applause for Miss Ashton's performance, and she will receive her tokens later. And our final awardee today from the West St. George Secondary School is Mr. Chris Oliver. Chris, congratulations to you. And they need a very special congratulations to all students, parents, supporting team members, teachers, for your hard work and your continued support in helping our students to achieve their truest potential, academic and otherwise. We're asking that you remain in position. We will do our vote of thanks, but immediately after, we'd like all students forward for a photo together, after which we will do students and the teachers with our stakeholders. All right, so students first, and then students and teachers. So please don't run away. Thank you.
Well done, excellent job. Thanks. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation and your attendance. By the way, things change at schools. When George Phillips was at school, the science teacher said, "Now, I want you to remember what I told you about the chemical formula for water." So George stood up and said, "It's HIJKLMNO." The teacher said, "What are you talking about? That's not what I said." He said, "But sir, you told us it was H2O." It was worth waiting for. And something else that's worth waiting for is our vote of thanks. Please welcome the hardest working Rotarian that we have here today. She's been working since before 11 o'clock and she hasn't stopped all day. So please welcome our Director of International Services, Rotarian Samantha Luge Charles.
Having adopted the protocol already established, a pleasant good afternoon to all, and a heartfelt thank you to everyone here today for joining us, the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, in hosting yet another George Phillips Excellence Award ceremony, honoring these very deserving students. As introduced by past President Joe, I am Samantha Lugie-Charles, International Service Chair of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, and it is my honor and privilege to give a vote of thanks to all those who have helped to make this prestigious event happen today. Firstly, we would not be here without the hard and fastidious work of the George Phillips Awards Committee, led by our esteemed past president, Mr. Ruben John. To our committee members, Treasurer, Mrs. Donette Constance, Vice President, Mr. Earl Tash, Ms. Kimisha Bailey, and of course, our featured speaker, Rotarian Mrs. Letitia Sandy Marks. Thank you also to those who worked alongside the committee behind the scenes to make today happen. Thank you to our host, the Kingstown Methodist Church, for the use of your facility. To our Master of Ceremony and Sergeant at Arms, past President Joe, for steering us through this beautiful ceremony, and of course for the jokes to lighten our afternoon. To past President Dr. St. Clair Thomas, thank you for setting the tone for our proceedings by inviting the presence of God into our midst. To our speakers, Vice President Mr. Earl Tash, Dr. Goodwin James, Senior Education Officer, Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation, representatives from our two major sponsors, FLO and Bank of SPG, and of course our featured speaker, Mrs. Letitia Sandy Marks, Director of Financial Intelligence Unit. Thank you all for your words of encouragement and inspiration, words of advice, your stories of your own realities, from which I'm sure our students here today, and even us as adults, can learn from. To past President Jules Ferdinand, thank you for this inspirational presentation on George Phillips and who he was and his contribution to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We couldn't have selected a better person to honor these past 20 years. A special thank you to Mrs. Felicia Cumberbatch for the very warm and impressive introduction of our featured speaker. Of course, to our dedicated sponsors, FLO, Bank of SPG, East Caribbean Group of Companies, Carib Diamond Rice and the Cream of the Islands Flour, Island Sips, St. Vincent Brewery Limited, Jaden Inc., BDO, Couriers Distribution Limited, Couriers Hazels Inc., Grenadine Airways, and of course Fanfare Inc. for this beautiful decor you see here this afternoon. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to collaborating with you again in 2024. The greatest thank you goes out to each and every awardee here today. I'm sure I also speak on behalf of your families, your teachers, and your schools when I say thank you for being the best that you can be, for being as dedicated to excellence as you are, and for making every single person here today oh so very proud of you. Again, we, the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, thanks everyone present here and those who could not be with us here today for the continued support in our mandate to provide service above self as we seek to improve the lives of Vincentians in need. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Well done, Samantha. Well done, Rotarian Samantha, for an excellent vote of thanks. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our ceremony this afternoon. We hope that you've all enjoyed it. We hope that you've learned a lot about George Phillips and a lot about Rotary and a lot about service above self. We have a special thanks for our friends in the media, and especially in this case, our friend Cap Balcom and his wife, who have been loyally recording this event year after year after year for many years indeed. And we appreciate that very much. Please show your appreciation to them. So thank you all. Spread the good word. There is so much work to be done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and our students here are going to lead the way. So we're looking forward to a wonderful future for SVG. Thank you all, and have a lovely afternoon. Take care, and get home safely. We now have photographs for those students in the first instance to come